Today's honors geometry lesson is on section 10.1, surface area and volume. The objective is that students will be able to find the volume and surface area of rectangular prisms. There are two types of prisms, right prisms and oblique prisms. Both right prisms and oblique prisms have two bases that are parallel. In a right prism, the sides go straight up and down. These are called lateral faces. All lateral faces in right prisms are rectangles. Here we have three different examples. These are three different types of right prisms. The figure on the left is a right hexagonal prism because the bases are hexagons. The figure in the middle is a right triangular prism because the bases are triangles. And the figure on the right-hand side is a right rectangular prism because the bases are rectangles. So as you can see, even though the bases are different shapes, the lateral faces are always rectangles. Oblique prisms also have two bases that are parallel, but oblique prisms are slanted. Because they are slanted, the lateral faces are no longer rectangles, but they are now parallelograms. So on the left is an example of an oblique hexagonal prism, and the example on the bottom is an example of an oblique rectangular prism. To find the volume of any rectangular prism, we can take the length times the width times the height of the prism, where L is always going to be our length in the equation, W will always be the width, and H will always be the height of the prism. So remember, the first thing you want to do in the prism is you want to locate the bases. So in this case, I'm going to highlight the base in yellow, and then in green, just so you can see, the green would represent the lateral faces. Okay? And even though we can't see it, the other base is actually going to be on this side. So now when we go ahead and find the volume, we're going to say the volume is going to equal the length times the width. So the length times the width times the height of the figure, which is 10 centimeters. So 5 times 8 times 10 will give us 400. So in this case, it's going to be 400 centimeters cubed. So remember that volume is cubed because 5 centimeters times 8 centimeters times 10 centimeters is 400 centimeters cubed. We can also use the volume formula to find one of the missing lengths, widths, or heights, or one of the dimensions. So if the volume of the prism is 480 centimeters cubed, what is the height given the following information? So we have 15 centimeters, 8 centimeters, and we don't know the height. So using what we know with our equation, we can say that 480 centimeters cubed is equal to 15 times 8, and we're looking for the height, so we're going to say times h. So if we're solving our equation, first thing we're going to take is 15 times 8, which is 120. And then to get h by itself, if we divide 480 divided by 120, we're going to see that 4 represents the height of this prism. So if you want to check, you can take 15 times 8 times 4, and it will equal 480 centimeters squared. So I'm going to go ahead and add my units and say that the height is 4 centimeters. To find the surface area of any rectangular prism, we can use the following formula. So the surface area is going to equal 2 times the length times the width plus 2 times the width times the height plus 2 times the height times the length, where again L is the length, W is the width, and H is the height of the prism. So for this example, we can go ahead and find the surface area by taking 2 times the length and width, so 2 times 10 times 5, plus 2 times the width times the height, which is 2 times 5 times 8. And then lastly, we can take 2 times the height times the length, which is going to be 2 times 8 times 10. Okay, so 2 times 10 times 5 will give us 100. 2 times 5 times 8 will give us 80. And 2 times 8 times 10 will give us 160. So if we add up 100 plus 80 plus 160, we're going to get the surface area to be 340. So our surface area will be 340 centimeters squared. So unlike the volume, the surface area is going to be centimeters squared or units squared. And remember that the volume will be units cubed, or in the last example, centimeters cubed. We can also use the surface area formula to find one of the missing dimensions. So in this case, we're again missing the height. So if we fill in what we know for the formula, we can go ahead and say that the surface area, which is 424 centimeters squared, is going to equal 2 times the length times the width. So 2 times 15 times 8 plus 2 times the width times the height. So 2 times 8, and since we don't know the height, we can go ahead and put h there, plus 2 times the height times the length. So 2 times the height times the length, which is 15. And then we can go ahead and start solving our equation. So 424 is going to equal 2 times 15 times 8, which is 240, plus 2 times 8 times h, which is 16h, plus 2 times h times 15 is going to give us 30h. Sorry, I'm running out of room a little bit. And then we're going to go ahead and add 16h plus 30h. Well, 424 is equal to 240 plus 46h. And now we just have a two-step equation. So if we take 424 minus 240, we have 184 is now equal to 46h. And when we divide both sides by 46, we're going to get a height that is equal to 4. So for this example, the height is going to equal 4 centimeters. So if you wanted to go back and check, you could go ahead and substitute in 4 for h, and if we did our math correctly, we should still get a surface area of 424 centimeters squared. This is the end of today's video lesson. If you have any questions, feel free to watch the video for a second time. And if you still have questions, write down any clarification questions that you may have, and please bring them to the next class.